So students, good day once again. This will be your discussion in ethics in nursing. I would like to start our discussion by answering this question. Why do we need to study ethics in nursing? I think you're already familiar of ethics. Maybe in high school, way back in your elementary, there are subjects that are already related to ethics. If you have taken research in high school, the emphasis is also on ethics. Now, why do we need to study ethics in nursing? Diba? Oftentimes, sinasabi natin, pag ethics, yun yung tama. Pag ethics, yun yung good. And why do we need to study that in nursing? Because if you would come to look at it, nursing is a caring profession. If we know what to do with our patients, basically, di ba, ethical naman yon. Eh bakit ba sir, may isang subject ba na ethics talaga? What's the reason why do we really need to have this subject? So guys, you have the following reasons shown on the screen. One, we are on a rapidly evolving and complex healthcare environment. When I say rapidly evolving, what is healthcare 5 years ago is already different in healthcare today. What is healthcare way back in the time of Florence Nightingale is way different from healthcare today. Now, technological development. As you can see, guys, there's a lot already of modern technologies that are emerging. If you're familiar, what are the technologies, guys, that you have noticed in the hospital setting? What do you think are the modern technologies that you have seen in the hospital setting? Can I see your chat about that? Anong mga technology na nakikita nyo sa internet, naririnig nyo, or maybe nakita nyo sa hospital that are being used in the hospital setting? Could anybody tell me about those technologies na sinasabi natin? Sige na, wag mahiya. Go ahead, Raji.
Sir, defibrillator. I'm sorry.
Okay. Good. Okay lang, good try. Okay, so she's talking about defibrillator. So guys, defibrillator, actually ang mas advancement po ng defibrillator ngayon is yung tinatawag natin na AED. So guys, in AED, you already have what you call your automated external defibrillator. Guys, pag sinabi natin defibrillator, yan po yung machine na pag nag-stop yung heart natin, pwede po niyang ma-restart ang heart natin. So ngayon, meron na po tayong automated external defibrillator. May iba tayo konti ng topic. Di ba class, kadalasan sa movie, pag nag-arrest, pag nag-flatline, kadalasan class defibrillator. Later on in medical surgical nursing, you will know that if it is a flatline, it is not supposed to be defibrillated. Again if it is a flatline, it's not supposed to be defibrillated. Isa po yung pagkakamali na usually nakikita natin sa movies. So class, ano pong ibig sabihin ng flatline? Di ba nakikita niyo yung ECG? Parang ganito yung itsura niyan. Okay? Ito po yung heart waves natin, di ba? Nakikita niyo po yan kadalasan sa mga drawing. Yung iba nga may mga pendant ng paganyan-ganyan So mga necklace. Parang napauso yata yan kasi parang healthcare professional kung tingnan. Okay? So class, you have your automated external defibrillator. Bakit ko po sinasabi na automated external defibrillator? Guys, that defibrillator could detect whether the rhythm needs shock or not. Okay? Plus, that defibrillator could already detect whether it needs a shock or not. So automatic siya. Alam niya, uy, flatline, hindi ito pwedeng i-shock. Uy, ito, pwede itong i-shock. Kailangan ito ng kuryente para maayos yung heart rate. Okay? That's one of the advancement in the medicine right now. Now, another thing since you mentioned AED, roughly talking, or ngayon, what do you think is your idea on this question? Can all of my patients, guys, who needs that AED, do I need to give it to them? Allow me to rephrase the question. All of my patients who had cardiac arrest needs an AED. True or false? All of my patients who had cardiac arrest needs AED. True or false? I want to see your chats. I would want to see your ideas lang kung ano yung perception nyo regarding that question. Okay? Class, actually false, no? Kung ipapasok ko po si ethics, dyan naman po papasok yung autonomy na sinasabi natin. Now, technology. Class, pag sinabi kong technology, di ba kay ganda pakinggan? Parang sabi natin, uy, advancement. Magaling, mabubuhay siya. But class, when we talk about ethics, not all patients who would have shockable rhythms, tawag po natin sa mga rhythms na pwede pong ikuryente is your shockable rhythms. Not all patients po, guys, who have shockable rhythms need to have the shock. Ano pong ibig sabihin natin ng autonomy? Class, meron po tayong tinatawag na DNR. I don't know if you've heard of DNR, but it's also a concept that we will be talking about in ethics. Class, when I talk about DNR, DNR means do not resuscitate. Again, class, DNR means do not resuscitate. So anong ibig sabihin? Halimbawa, class, no? Yung cardiac rhythm niya shockable. Pero yung pasyente already signed the DNR form. That would mean that whatever would happen to him, he does not want extra measures, extraordinary measures for him to live. Kung baga, tanggap niya na, okay, mamamatay na ako. Huwag niyo na akong i-revive. Huwag niyo na akong i-CPR. Huwag niyo na akong i-defibrillate. Are you getting my point on DNR, guys? Huh? So again, class, when I say DNR, do not resuscitate. This is actually one of the reasons why we're learning ethics. Okay? Diba technology? Pag sinabing technology, oy, sige, gusto niyang mabuhay, ibigay mo sa kanya lahat, bubuhayin natin siya. But take note, you have your patients who exercise their right to autonomy and then said, ayaw ko. Once na mangyari to sa akin, wag niyo na akong bubuhayin. Okay? That's your DNR. That's one example of it. Now another, I've seen somebody mentioned earlier, nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is good, no? So when I talk about nanotechnology, basically yung pinakamaliit, no? Pinakamaliit na mga anong tawag natin dyan? Yung mga computer chips, they're already used in the management of your diseases. Okay? Now, you would encounter na naman the problem, or I don't know if you've heard this, but there are people who are saying that nanotechnology daw is the way to evil. Okay, nanotechnology daw is the way to evil. I don't know if what religion you are, but there are Christians and Catholics that would say that nanotechnology daw is akin to the 666. No? If you're reading the Bible, the 666 is usually the number that is associated with the devil. Now, as a nurse, objectively, what can you say about this? If somebody will tell you nanotechnology is associated with evil, how would you approach that question? Is that a reality? Is that an objective reality? What do you think? Sige na, kadalasan kasi nasasabi yan eh. Uy, mag-nanotechnology kasi nanotechnology na ngayon yung trend. Nanotechnology yung ni-recommend ni Doc. And then somebody will tell you nanotechnology is evil. If you would look at it in the sides of ethics, do we have a basis for that? To say that nanotechnology is evil because it is related to the 666? What do you think? Sige na guys, have your ideas, please. What do you think? Ano po palagay natin regarding that? Totoo ba guys? Totoo ba ang claim ng nanotechnology related to evil? Sige na, kahit sa pagmumukha nyo nang makita ko yung reaction nyo. Is there truth to that? What do you think? Sige na, I would want to see your answers. Anybody? Kahit sa chat lang. Nanotechnology daw is related to evil. What is your objective stand to that as a nurse? Do you agree to that or disagree? Uy, sige na. Okay, class ha? So as nurses, you should be able to know that there is no basis for this. There is no basis for this. But then if your patient would insist, sabihin ng patient mo, nurse, ayaw kong gamitin yan kasi evil po yan. The best thing that you can do is that when your patient class would refuse in any instance that your patient would refuse, the first thing that you can do as a nurse is educate. If your patient still refuses, you refer your patient to the physician because it is the physician that will be able to educate your patient on the pros and cons of the procedure. Okay? Then class, if ayaw pa rin, document. When I say document, you should have documented that you have educated the patient. You've referred the patient to the physician and the physician educated him. And then other than that class, dapat ma-document po natin na nag-refuse yung pasyente natin. So meron po yung isa-sign na form that your patient is refusing. Sasabihin ko po, beneficial po yun, kaya di yun. Okay? Yes, class. Now, you need to be objective. Okay? You can tell the patient, ma'am, wala po tayong basis. As far as I'm concerned po, wala pong basis na yung nanotechnology is from evil. Pero ma'am, do you want to talk to your doctor? Ma'am, so far, ito po yung mga benefits na nalaman natin tungkol sa nanotechnology. So you need to be objective as a nurse. Now, you would also have difficult encounters. Give example of difficult encounters. Huwag naman sanang mangyari, guys, pero common talaga itong nangyayari sa mga nurses, no? Okay, picture a nurse. Picture nurse Anna. Okay, si Anna, pasensya kung may Anna dito. Anna's mother is sick. Okay, Anna's mother is sick. For example, Anna's duty is from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. yung duty niya. Tapos Anna is taking care of 6 patients. At 11 a.m., tumawag yung father niya. Sabi niya, Anna, hindi maganda pakiramdam ni mother mo. Umuwi ka muna. What's the best thing? What's the best thing for Anna to do? What's the best thing for Anna to do? Leave duty, go to mother, or stay at duty and then let mother be with father? What do you think is the ethical thing that Anna would do? Sige na.
Sir, good morning po.
Sige. Yes.
Try lang po, if yung mother po ni Anna is severely sick po, yung kailangan po ng immediate action niya po as a nurse po siya, pwedeng kung emergency po, i-endorse niya po yung hawak niya munang patient sa ibang nurse po.
Sige. O, di ba? Parang nakakatuwa siyang tanong. Sige, Erica, that's a good point. Okay, yes, Princess.
Ethically speaking po, hindi po siya pwedeng umalis dun sa duty niya since nasa duty pa din po siya, and as nurses po, kahit po, minsan po may mga decisions na kahit po need natin mamili between families and patient, need po natin i-priority yung patient kasi po, yun po yung job natin as nurses, yun po yung...
Okay, di ba? I think, Princess, when you were saying that, you also understand na parang madali lang siya sabihin actually, pero mahirap gawin, di ba, Princess? No? So, you understand that the patient is your prime priority. But, right now you're thinking of your family also. But let's hear Juliana first. Juliana, yes, your idea?
Nung high school po kasi may inaral kami concept sa philo po. Di ko lang po maalala. Pero yung lagi mo pong iisipin yung parang yung greater good. Kasi since work mo po yun, parang mas marami yung patient na kailangan mong tapos hindi mo naman po ibabaliwala yung mom, pero yun po, mahirap po talaga yung decision na i-make. Pero if emergency naman po, baka pwedeng mag-send na lang kayo ng iba na mag-alaga sa mom or like, kunwari ambulance po, ganun.
Okay, sige. Hopefully, wag mangyari sa atin, ano. Sige, James.
So,
and then I'll have Maricon last. Yes, James,
kung
go
lalagay
ahead.
po tayo as being a professional, kahit po mahirap na maging desisyon na mas piliin niyo po yung anim sa isa, is gagawin ko po, piliin ko po yung anim. Kasi po naniniwala po ako na the needs of many always outweigh the need of one.
Okay, sige. Sige, thank you, James. How about Maricon? Yes.
Sir, ano lang po, share ko lang po yung lagi kong naririnig sa ate ko po nurse na yung tatay ko po kasi stroke pero he passed away na po. Yung tatay ko po stroke, ang lagi niya pong sinasabi na hindi ko maalagaan yung tatay ko, pero yung iba, yung mga marami akong pasyente na aalagaan, pero yung tatay ko, yun yung hindi ko talaga maalagaan. So siguro po parang nakaka-relate din po dun sa ethics na parang patient first, yung problema ng family is set aside dun sa job.
Okay, thank you for sharing your personal experience. Okay, last two ito ha. Balboa, yes, go ahead.
Hello po. Sorry po sa ingay. Sir, technically speaking po, it's very unethical to leave the workplace if you're still on duty. So, I think pwede naman pong i-message natin yung relatives natin or kapatid, ganun, pinsan, na kung pwedeng alagaan mo na yung mother. And then kung na po talaga, kung severe na po talaga, pwede tayong magpadala ng ambulance since nasa hospital na po tayo doon. Meron na po tayong access sa ambulance po sa healthcare system po.
Okay, sige. I like the idea. Romel, go ahead.
Sir, almost the same po with Megami kasi yung bahay po hindi naman po siya hospital. Kaya if severe po or emergency na po, dapat po ipadala na po talaga sa hospital since mas okay po yung mga equipments doon at sa bahay po wala pong mga equipments na meron po sa hospital.
Okay, sige. Guys, you all have very good insights on that. Now, to answer the question, tama po kayo, hindi po natin pwedeng iwan yung pasyente natin. So tama po tayo that your patient is still your primary responsibility when it comes to this. This is a sad truth that we need to accept. Now, class, if you would look at nursing as a profession, remember, class, that nursing as a profession is bounded on altruism. Take note, class, nursing as a profession is bounded on altruism. And when I talk about altruism, it's your selfless desire to help others. It's your selfless desire to help others. That's how we would define altruism. Okay? Tandaan po natin yan. Now, paano po natin i-connect yan? Plus altruism added to your ethical responsibility, dagdag yung pa po yung legal responsibility. Patients po talaga yung mangunguna. Pag titingnan po natin sa Code of Ethics, patient po natin yung uunahin natin. Pag titingnan po natin sa legality, if you would go back to the law in nursing, RA 9173, hindi mo po pwedeng iwan yung pasyente mo. Kasi po, pwede po silang magkasakit, pwedeng lumala yung kondisyon nila, and you will be the one that will be held liable to that. Now, however, class, we're discussing ethics. And in ethics, one thing that you need to remember is that it's not good and bad all the time. Mali pong idea na it's all black, it's all white, it's all good, it's all bad. Walang ganyan sa ethics. Okay? Hindi po tayo nag-aaral ng ethics kasi good and bad siya. Kasi pag good and bad yan, bakit pa kayo nag-aaral? Binigyan ko na lang sana kayo ng listahan. Sabihin ko, ay Nicole, ito yung mga listahan ng mga bad. Huwag mong gagawin bilang nurse. O Maricon, ito yung listahan ng mga good. Gawin mo yan lahat. But it's not like that, no? You will be learning here principles because there are a lot of things that you are encountering wherein there will be difficult encounters. Now, on this situation class, tama, yes, the patient is the priority. But guys, if you will be thinking about your family, somebody earlier mentioned the idea that you can endorse the patient to the another nurse. Okay? So class, sabi ko kanina, duty mo 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. If kailangan mo talagang mag-respond kay mother, guys, you can talk to your head nurse. You can talk to your head nurse and then ask another nurse to receive your patient. So another nurse class, sa kanya mo i-endorse yung patient mo para siya na yung mag-receive ng pasyente mo. Okay? That's what's going to happen. But the point here is that once class, walang nurse na tatanggap ng 6 patients mo, hindi mo sila pwedeng iwan. Again, once there is no nurse that will accept your patient, you can't leave them. If you are the nurse, halimbawa halimbawa si Ana, tapos si Ana nag-endorse sa akin. Nag-endorse si Ana sa akin. Sabi niya, uy, Porks, alagaan mo muna yung 6 patients ko. Kailangan ko talagang umalis. Si Ana, kahit friend ko siya, kahit crush ko siya, halimbawa, crush ko pa itong si Ana. Halimbawa, guys, I'm taking care of 6 patients. With all due respect to Ana, ethically, I can also refuse. Because by the time that I will accept the additional patients from her, I will not be able to give quality care to all of my patients. You get my point? But I can also accept. By the time that I will accept, they are all already my responsibilities. So ano sanang best thing na gagawin natin? Pag kayo po yung head nurse, pwede po tayong magpatawag ng additional staff nurse na papasok. So itong si additional staff nurse, tatawagan ko ng 10 a.m. Pagkatapos sabihan ko, additional staff nurse, pasok ka muna by 11 a.m. Kailangan talagang ni Ana umalis, malubha yung kalagayan ng kanyang parent. Okay? But if nobody will be accepting the patient, Ana, ethically, legally, tulad ng na-share ng isa nating kaklase kanina from her sister who is a nurse, the sad thing about nursing is that you take care of others but you could not take care of your own family. Okay? So class, patient first. Take note, it's not only ethical, it's also your legal responsibility. Halimbawa, itong si Ana, parang nawala sa isip, tumakbo pa uwi, iniwan yung mga pasyente. If may pasyente siyang naubos ang swero, naubos yung IV line, may pasyente siyang nag-arrest, may pasyente siyang nag-difficulty of breathing while he is not there, all of those can be held liable. Not only her, but also the hospital. Okay? So we need to understand that one. Now, class, that's the reason why we're learning ethics. You have difficult encounters. Halimbawa, when I say truth-telling, isang example pa, truth-telling. Pag tatanungin kayo, guys, dapat ba tayong nagsasabi ng totoo? Without second thought, sir, obvious ba? Ano bang tinuturo mo dito? Okay? Di ba? Dapat magsabi tayo ng totoo. Now, picture this in the clinical setting. The BP of your patient is 200 over 120. With your knowledge in fundamentals and health assessment, mataas, mababa? Mataas ba yan or mababa?
Mataas.
Okay?
Mataas po.
Okay? Mataas. Okay? Plus, as a nurse, you know that if you inform your patient the BP is high, anong mangyayari palagay mo sa BP? Magsistay put or mas kakabahan yung pasyente?
Mas kakabahan po.
Mas kakabahan yung pasyente. Mas tataas lalo. Oh, after mong kumuha ng BP, tinanong ka, Julian, ano yung BP ko? Parang hindi mo alam kung anong sasabihin mo. Sasabihin ko bang mababa? Hindi ba ako magsasalita? Or sasabihin kong 200 over 120 tapos baka mamaya sasabog yung ugat yan sa utak. Kaya baka na-stroke na yan mamaya yung pasyente natin. So class, right there and then you apply ethics. So what do we do as nurses? Kadalasan namin sinasabi sa clinical setting, sir, in a while, we will death retect. Pagkatapos, paglabas mo, okay, kakausapin mo na yung doktor, kukuha ka na ng gamot, tapos pagkabalik mo, check mo ulit yung BP. Sir, medyo mataas po yung BP natin. Bibigay po kami ng gamot para po mabababa po natin yung BP ninyo. Okay? Kung ikaw nurse, kumuha ka na ng katapres kasi alam mo baka katapres din yung papabigay ng doktor. Okay? That's how we do it. Because you know that by the time that you will tell the patient that it's 200 over 120, kasabog po yung ugat nun sa utak. Okay? Stroke. Stroke. Well, that's a severe situation but it happens. Another example. Okay? Halimbawa, pumasok na yung biopsy result. As early as now, please be reminded that your biopsy is the gold standard for diagnosis of cancer. Biopsy is the gold standard for diagnosis of cancer. Okay? So class biopsy, halimbawa breast, no? Breast tissue. Inoperahan siya kasi mag-biopsy class, kukuha ng sample yan. Tapos titingnan under the microscope. O, ikaw nurse, kasi ikaw sa station, di ba? Ikaw tumatanggap ng biopsy result. Alam ng pasyente na today papasok yung biopsy result niya. Pagkakita mo ng biopsy result nakalagay, metastasis. Ano nga ba yung metastasis, guys? Pag sinabi kong metastasis, ano yon? Based on your knowledge in anatomy, what is metastasis? Ang cancer ba na sa isang lugar lang or kumalat na? Pag sinabi kong metastasis, kumalat na. Kaya there's already spread of cancer. O nakalagay doon, severe metastasis, stage 4 metastasis. Pagpasok mo ng room, sasabihin ng pasyente, nurse, nandiyan na ba yung biopsy result ko? Of course, you will say, yeah. Kay truth telling, di ba? O, tapos tatanungin ka, nurse, kamusta yung result? Who do you think is the best person to explain the result? Will it be you as a nurse or will it be the doctor? Who is the best person to explain the result? Will it be you as a nurse or the doctor? Okay? Yes, Antoinette.
Yung doctor po yun dapat mo magsabi.
Plus the best person to answer will be your physician. Okay? The best person plus to answer will be your physician. Okay? Plus physician pong dapat sumagot. Bakit? So they are the ones kasi who would be able to explain to the patient what are the pros and cons of the diagnosis. So anong sasabihin mo bilang nurse? Ma'am, si doctor na po yung mag-i-explain. Tapos sasabihin niya, hala, malubha yung result ko siguro. No? Ma'am, hintayin lang po natin si doctor. For the meantime, I could not say po whether maganda yung result or malubha. Okay? Huwag ka namang pupunta sa pasyente at sabihin, ma'am, manalangin na po tayo. Huwag ganon, ha? Kasi class, pag tatanungin ka ng pasyente, nurse, anong nangyari? Okay? We know that spiritual health could offer a lot, no? O could mean a lot to your patient. But dapat good timing din tayo. Okay? Be ready. When you're doing spiritual care to your patient, you should be ready. Okay? Now, those are just few of the difficult encounters, class, that you will have in the clinical setting. Few pa lang yan. And every day you're going through this. Every day you will be going through this. That's why you're learning ethics so that you will be guided on how to decide. Now, another reason is that you will encounter ethical dilemmas. You will encounter ethical dilemmas. What do you mean by ethical dilemmas? Plus, you as a nurse know what is good. You as a nurse know what is good, but situations prohibit you to do it. Again, situations prohibit you to do it. O di ba? Basahin niyo ulit. You know what is good, but the situation prohibit you to do it. Lagay natin sa love life mo. Alam mong pangit siya, pero nasagot mo na siya, hindi mo na siya pwedeng iwan. Or alam mo na hindi talaga kayo bagay, parang tomorrow morning when you wake up, na-realize mo, hindi kami bagay, hindi kami talo. Paano ko ba sasabihin sa kanya? But kidding aside na, let's picture this example. Ha? Example, a patient in a government hospital. There's an antibiotic that the doctor prescribed. You know as a nurse that antibiotic given timely, given on time, would mean good prognosis on the part of your patient. Pag sinabi ko class na prognosis, outcome. Ha? Pag sinabi kong prognosis, outcome. So alam mo, pag iti-take niya itong gamot on time, gagaling siya. Pag i-take niya itong gamot on time, maikli lang yung stay niya sa hospital. Nagbigay ng prescription ang doktor sa pasyente. Tapos after 2 hours, nag-follow up ka, ma'am, nasaan na po yung gamot para mabigay na natin? Sasabihan ka, nurse, wala kaming pera pambili ng gamot. You know what is good for your patient, but the situation does not allow you to do it. Okay? You will be exposing yourself to ethical dilemma. Now, halimbawa, mayamang nurse ka. Hashtag sana all, no? Mayamang nurse ka. Tapos naisip mo, may extra pa naman ako dito sa wallet kasi binigyan ako ng sugar mommy ko or sugar daddy ko ng 1,500. Siguro yung 500 pwede kong maambag sa pasyente. Is it ethical for us to do it? Magbigay ng amount for the patient to buy the medications. I want to see your responses on chat. Okay, tingnan ko nga. May 500 kang extra kasi ikaw na may sugar mommy / daddy ka pa. Pwede po kayang magbigay ako ng 500 for my patient kasi naaawa ako sa kanya. Sa chat na, okay lang ba or hindi? Sige na, sagutin nyo. Wag mag-alala, walang masamang sagot dito. Hindi kita i-judge. Magsasmile lang tayo. Okay? Hindi po baka, gusto ko yung mahabang sagot. Okay? Hindi po baka maging dependent sa situation. Okay? Baka instead na ikaw yung may sugar daddy, baka ikaw ang maging sugar daddy. Parang gano'n. Pwede sir kung ako ang pasyente. Kainis tong isang to. Okay? Pero guys, no, ethically you're not. And your classmate here is the point. Okay? The next question that you should ask is, how long can you sustain your efforts? How long can you sustain your efforts? Pag bibigay ka ngayon ng 500, bukas ba kaya mong bumigay ng 500? Hanggang kailan ka bibigay ng 500? You're making your patient dependent to you. And kung baga class in other terms, you're crossing the line. You're crossing the line. So what can you do as a nurse? Wala siyang pera. Plus, i-refer niyo po siya sa DSWD. I-refer niyo po siya sa isang professional sa hospital ninyo that could help her. That will be your social worker. Okay? Huwag niyo siyang i-refer sa treasurer, uubusin ng treasurer ang pera niyan. Okay? I-refer niyo siya sa social worker. Kasi yung social worker class should be able to find means para maghanap ng paraan yung pasyente na. Anong advantage kapag kay social worker ka? Plus, the social worker has all the right to be marites. Okay? Marites in such a way na pwede niyang alamin kung mayaman nga bang pasyente mo or poor. Pwede niyang alamin kung ano yung mga assets ng pasyente mo because that's part of her license, that's part of her social assessment. Okay? Pag nagbigay ka class ng 500, mabibigla ka. Paglabas ng hospital, may magarang sasakyang naghihintay habang ikaw nakasakay sa tricycle. Are you getting the point? So para wala po tayong samaan ng loob, dapat po i-refer natin siya sa social worker. Now, that is an ethical dilemma. Going back to the concept of ethical dilemma, you know what is good, but the situation prohibits you to do it. Halimbawa, you're assigned 15 patients. Guys, in the hospital setting, especially private hospital, nag-maintain po tayo ng 6 to 8. Pag titingnan naman natin class sa standards, 1:10 to 12. Ibig sabihin isang nurse, 10 to 12 patients. Private hospital, hanggang 8 patients lang. Sa mga hospital na masyadong mataas yung standard, 4 patients lang yung hinahandle ng nurse. Halimbawa, COVID outbreak, nagka-COVID yung kasama mo, 15 patients yung hinahandle mo. Alam mo ideally na kapag yung gamot class 8 a.m., dapat mabigay mo na siya 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after. Okay? Depende yan sa policy ng hospital na. But kadalasan, we consider 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after as still on time. May 15 patient ka. Bawat pasyente class may 5 kapsula. Bawat pasyente class may kasama pang 2 medications na nilalagay IV. Anong gagawin mo? Diba? So as much as you would want to deliver ideal care to your patient, you will be presented with ethical dilemmas like this. Okay? Madidelay ka kasi 15 patients yung hinahawakan mo. Now, there is also lack of good quality patient health professional communication. Communication problem in the hospital is very persistent. What do you mean by that? Halimbawa, si Julian, doctor. No? Pagkatapos sinabi ko, Doc, Julian, pasyente natin may problema, nahihirapang huminga. Nagbigay na po ako ng oxygen, pwede niyo po bang mapuntahan? Ito naman si Doc Julian, busy. Okay? Sabi niya, oo. Pero along the way, may na-receive siyang call na emergency. Tapos during the emergency, 1 hour siya nagstay sa emergency na yon. Tatawag naman ako ulit, Doc Julian, nasaan ka na? Yung pasyente, hindi na maganda yung pakiramdam. Okay? Tapos itong si Doc Julian, sasabihin, papunta na ako. Whereas may emergency pa pala siyang ina-attend. Okay? So dyan pa ng class nagkakaproblema na tayo. Okay? That's a very common scenario in the hospital setting. Kasi di nasabi ni Doc Juliana, hey nurse, sorry, may emergency talaga, refer mo muna sa ibang doktor. Habang ako naman nagmamadali, tapos dun sa nurses station, galit na ako kay Doc Julian. Sinasabi, ano ba itong si Doc Julie? Pinapabayaan kami. Whereas may ina-attend din pala siyang pasyente. So communication. Other than that class, the problem in the diagnosis and prognosis. Cancer care class, cancer. Anong common na setting or nangyayari dito sa Pilipinas? Okay? Pag nalaman ng pasyente class sometimes na may cancer, stage 3 or stage 4, yung pasyente usually nag-give up na. Sasabihin ng pasyente, okay na ako, ayaw ko nang mabuhay, or let me live the next 6 months happily. Ayaw ko nang magpa-surgery, ayaw ko nang magpa-chemotherapy. Papasok yung pamilya. Anong sasabihin ng pamilya? Hindi ka pa namin kayang i-let go. Gusto namin gawin lahat para sa iyo. Okay? Bibenta lahat ng lupa, kahit malubog pa sa utang, gagawin ng pamilya. That's where the ethical problem naman would set in. Ayaw na ng patient magpa-treat, ang family gusto pa rin magpa-treat. Now, quick question. Sino yung susundin ko? Patient or family? Sige, sinong susundin ko? Yes, Reggie.
Patient po, sir.
Patient. Okay? Madaling usapan, patient. Now, pasok natin yung ethical dilemma. Okay? Anong sasabihin sa'yo ng family? Nurse, kung kanya yung masusunod, hindi kami magbabayad ng bill niyan dito sa hospital. Nurse, kakausapin namin yung doktor. Gusto namin makausap yung doktor right now. Okay? May mga ganyang scenario class na nangyayari. May mga ganyang scenario nangyayari. Now, kausapin nila yung doktor. Parang sila pa yung matapang. Okay? Pero guys, para masaya ng pakinggan. Pero as in, that happens. That happens. If you are the nurse class, okay, one intervention that I can recommend is for us to arrange for a family conference. Okay? For us to arrange for a family conference. Pag sinabi kong family conference, kasama dyan ang doktor, kasama po dyan ang patient, kasama din po dyan ang family members. Okay? Guys, you do not judge the family members. Do not say na, itong pamilyang to, di talaga iniisip kung ano yung mabuti para sa kanilang pasyente. Guys, they are just anxious. They also have anxiety. They're also having anticipated loss. Okay? May pinagdadaanan din po sila. Habang si patient, may pinagdadaanan rin. As a nurse, you do not judge. You do not judge. Saka wag mong sabihan naman yung family, ma'am, family lang po kayo. Patient po yun, patient. Huwag po tayong ganun. Let's not be arrogant. So one thing that you can do as a nurse is that you can tell them, ma'am, we understand that you are going through something. I suggest, ma'am, do you want me to arrange for a family conference? Okay, gusto niyo po yung ganun para makausap po ninyong doktor makausap rin po natin yung pasyente kasabay yung doktor. Okay? Things happen like that. Other than that, class, there is a difference in what you call your human acts and the natural acts of man. Okay? There is a difference between human acts and acts of man. Ito yung masaya class sa academic. Parang yung mga arrangement ng words would mean a lot. No? Okay, now let's talk about human acts and acts of man. Class, this is just the basic reasons why we are studying ethics. Now, when I talk about human acts, class, the big word there is that the actions are done consciously. Okay? So, anong sinasabi ko usually sa students ko? Human acts consciously. Sabihin mong hack. Human acts done consciously. In other words, matalino ka. You have the will to do it. You have the reason to do it. You have the intellect to do it. And you did it. Okay? And because of that, guys, you can be held responsible for your action. Okay? You can be held responsible for your action. Halimbawa, nagdi-discuss lang ako today. Tapos, I suddenly approach one of you, no? Halimbawa, in-approach ko, for example, si Erica out of the blue. And then I told Erica, Erica, alam mo, pagkapangit ng asal mo. Erica, alam mo, blah, blah, blah. For example, I talk bad words about her. And then you know that I am here. I'm conscious. Di ba? Kanina lang, matino yung discussion natin. Tapos bigla lang, minumura ko sa Erica. And I am a teacher. I am a nurse. I am bound by the code of ethics that I'm not supposed to do that. You could hold me responsible. Pwede niyong sabihan si Dean. Dean, itong si Sir, parang hindi matino yung pag-iisip. Dean, itong si Sir, parang hindi maganda sa classroom. Mali po yung ginawa sa kaklase namin. You can do that because I have the knowledge to act. I have the freedom. It was a voluntary action in my part. It was considered to be a human act. Guys, human act is actually the focus of ethics. And the study of human acts is actually the focus of your ethics. Now, let's talk about the natural acts of man. Pag sinabi kong natural acts of man, beyond one's consciousness. It's beyond intellect and will. Okay? The two components, by the way, no? So, class, the two components of your human act is your reason and will. Yan po yung two components ng human act. Now, when we talk about natural acts of man, either one of those or both of those are gone. Okay? Wala po tayong intellect, wala po tayong will. Example, if you're dealing with a patient with psychiatric problems, has psychiatric problems. Halimbawa, class, may tinatawag po tayong schizophrenia. Okay, schizophrenia, class, you will learn more of this in psych nursing or mental health nursing. So, class, pag sinabi kong schizophrenia, alam mo yung kadalasang tinatawag yung buang? Diba? Are you picturing out people that you refer to as buang? Class, they actually have schizophrenia. For example, naglalakad ka doon sa mall, tapos bigla kang sinuntok ng isang buang na tinatawag natin. Guys, pwede ko ba siyang ma-hold liable? Can he be liable for that or not? Hindi po. Kasi that is a natural act of man. Wala po siyang knowledge. There was no reason why he did it. Okay? So he could not be held liable. It's unconscious. It's involuntary. It was a spontaneous action on his part. Now, halimbawa, minura ko si classmate. Okay? Ako bilang teacher nyo, sinabihan kita ng bad words. Tapos di mo alam, may nakatutok palang gun, may nakatutok na baril dito sa tabi ko. Somebody is forcing me to do it. Can you hold me liable? Can you hold me liable for that? Okay? Hindi po. Hindi po ako liable if there's somebody, okay? If there's somebody who's pointing a gun at me. Pag may nagpo-point po ng gun sa akin tapos sinabi, gawin mo to or else puputok ko. Plus wala po akong will. My will is being taken away from. My will is being taken away from. Okay? Sige, tingnan ko yung naalala ko po nung nasa labas ng school, hinabol po ako ng lalaking pag-alagala doon. Binigyan ko siya ng barya. La bribery. Okay. Sige. So class, that happens. So bilang nurses, you should be aware. Ha? Halimbawa, no? Buang siya, no? Pag-alagalang mga tao dyan, hindi po natin alam pag may mental illness siya. Pag pinatulan niyo po yan, you can lose your license actually. Ha? If you acted against the natural acts of man, Halimbawa, yung psychotic, no? Yung psychotic na pasyente. Tapos sinuntok mo. Kasi nga, for example, tinatch niya yung butt mo or tinatch niya yung private part mo. Tapos sinuntok mo siyang bigla, pinuruhan mo talaga hanggang sa dumugo, hanggang sa nawalan siya ng malay. Plus, you could be held liable for your license. Okay, you could be held liable for your license. Because as a nurse, you should know na itong taong to, wala to sa tamang pag-iisip niya. Natural act of man yan. Hindi ko dapat patulan niya. Okay? So be mindful of those, ha? Be mindful of those. Halimbawa, class, no? I did something habang may baril ditong nakataya sa akin. So hindi po pwede. Okay? You could not hold me liable because there's somebody who's pointing a gun at me, who's telling me to do things that I am not supposed to do. Now, halimbawa lang, magaling ako sa martial arts. Tapos habang tinututukan niya ako ng gun dito, tinuntok ko siya, tapos hinimatay siya. Is it okay for me to do that? Or can I be held liable by doing that? Again, may nakatutok na gun sa akin. I acted in self-defense. Sinuntok ko siya. Ngayon, hinimatay siya. Is it okay that I did that? Or hindi ba pwede? What do you think? Okay, plus that time it's okay. Okay? Because that person is conscious. That person pointing a gun at me is conscious of what he's doing. I can act in self-defense. I can act in self-defense. Right? Now, the sad thing is that if you're watching movies, if you're watching medical drama online, the tendency naman sometimes is that people tend to abuse this now. For example, merong mga tao na magpe-present na, ay baliw po ako, hindi po ako pwedeng ilagay dun sa kulungan because I'm psychotic. If you would look at cases class in the United States, there are people that would use being psychotic as a defense in the courts of law. So ano naman po yung remedy natin dyan? No? That's why class, you need to have a psychiatrist to evaluate that person. May psychiatrist po talaga na nag-i-evaluate ng person here. So hindi po pa pwede na tatayo ako dito tapos mag-declare, ako'y baliw. Okay, exempted ako makulong. Hindi po pwede yon. May psychiatrist po talagang nag-i-evaluate. Okay? Now, those are the things that you're encountering in ethics. Now, class will be talking about theories and principles in health ethics. This is actually chapter 2 already of the discussion. Class, reason and will, the two things I've emphasized earlier. For an act to be considered done by an individual, there should be reason and will. And when I say class reason, you have the knowledge of what is right and wrong. Ikaw, ako, we know what is right and wrong. Okay? And plus, we learn this through our upbringing. Na ibig sabihin kung paano tayo pinalaki ng parents natin, kung paano po yung environment natin, kung ano po yung mga exposure natin nung bata pa tayo, has something to do with our reason. So it seeks and examines other information, and you reflect on your knowledge and find ways to apply them in the present context. So halimbawa ngayon, nagdi-discuss ako sa inyo, nag-iisip ako, is this a good example that I will be giving to my student? Is this example even ethical for my students? Is this example right for my students? I'm applying reason. Now, will. Plus, when you talk about will, basically you're talking about strength. Okay? You have the strength to carry out. Okay? You have the strength to carry out. Okay? Plus, pag sinabi po nating strength to carry out, you choose to do what is ought to be done as determined by reason. Okay? Halimbawa, alam ko ang tama, mag-meet tayo ng 8:30 kasi yun yung pinag-usapan natin. Okay? So I need to have that will. I need to say 8:30 I should be there because that's the good thing to be done. That's the right thing to be done because that is our agreement. That is our contract. Okay? So you think things like that. You think things like that. Okay? Now, isa pa. Halimbawa as a nurse, no, you took care of your patient. In the example that I have given about Anna earlier. Okay? And then you stood firm. Sabi mo kay Father, Father, sorry, I could not come home. I will be home early at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Pero hindi po talaga pwede ngayon. It is your will that you are using right now. You are telling yourself, it's my will that I should stay with my patients. Okay? So guys, those are the two components of the human acts. Reason and will. Kindly take note of that. And when we talk about these theories, no, pag sinabi ko class theory, di ba oftentimes dinidifferentiate natin yung tinatawag na theory at saka law. Pag sinabi ko po bang theory, absolute na po ba siya? Is it applicable to everybody or not? Pag sinabi kong theory, applicable to all na nga ba? Hindi. Okay? Because when I say applicable to all, you're actually referring to law. Pag sinabi kong applicable to all, you're actually referring to law. Now, what we will be studying now is the theories in ethics. So pag sinabi ko pong theory, di ba, in theoretical foundations of nursing, you are reminded that a theory can be tested. In other words, guys, these are writings of those who have been done before us, the ethicists before us, the nurses before us, and they're telling us how to decide on what is good and what is bad. But at the end of the day, these are just theories. So hindi po pwede na sabihin ko na, oy, ako'y isang deontologist. Dapat yung idea lang talaga ng deontology yung susundin ko. Mali kayo. Mali yung iba yung ideas. That's not how we think as nurses. We are learning this theory so that you will have options in your minds on what to do if ever you will be encountering your patients. Now, we also base this theory on nursing knowledge. And when I talk about nursing knowledge, it's considered to be objective. Diba kadalasan, differentiate natin objective versus subjective. Tayong mga nurses class dapat objective. When I say objective, hindi po pwede na based on feelings and personal motivations. So hindi ko pwedeng gawin na, ay naaawa ako sa kanya, bigyan natin ng 500. Hindi po pwede na awa po yung basihan natin ng pamumuhay natin. Then personal motivations, halimbawa sabihin mo, uy, maganda yung patient dun sa room 201. Hayaan mo na yung ibang pasyente, siya na lang yung puntahan natin. Hindi po pwedeng ganon. Ha? You are a nurse. Again, you're bounded in altruism. Then class, when I talk about nursing knowledge, it is a product of careful reflection and rigorous scientific evidence-based study. Just like any profession, it's considered to be evidence-based. Evidence-based. Okay? Bakit ko pa sinulat kahit nakatype na dyan, class? To emphasize to you how important that one is. In other words, hindi pa ako pwedeng sabihin, no? Pupunta ako sa patient's room, tapos sabihin ko na, Sir, let's turn. Magto-turning po tayo. Okay? Pag sinabing turning class, magsa-side, magpa-flat. After 2 hours, magsa-side. Sir, mag-turning po tayo. Tapos tanungin ka ng pasyente, bakit po tayo magti-turning? Kasi sir, yun talaga yung ginagawa namin. Di ko nga alam kung bakit ganun. Basta yun yung sir, gawin natin dapat. Hindi pwedeng ganon. You as a nurse knows that there's a reason why you're doing it. So you can tell your patient, sir, ito po yung makakatulong sa inyo para maiwasan po natin yung bed sores na tinatawag. Para maiwasan po natin na masugatan kayo, maiwasan po natin na yung pressure makakasugat sa skin. You talk to your patient like that. Ha? Hindi pwede na, sir, sabi po kasi ng lola ko dati, dapat ganyan po yung gawin. Sir, uminom po tayo ng kapsula kasi sabi nga dati ng kasambahay namin yung dapat gawin. No, you talk about evidence. And when you're dealing with ethics class, what is ethical is supposed to be right. What is technically sound is also ethically sound. So hindi po natin sabihin, narinig yung mga advertisement, tapos sinasabi sa advertisement na, uy, uminom ako ng ganitong kapsula pagkatapos nawala yung tumor ko. Narinig yung mga ganon? Di ba? As nurses class, we could not recommend those medications because at the end class ng advertisement, anong sinasabi? No approved therapeutic claims. Diba? Sinasabing no approved therapeutic claims, pero mabilisan, no approved therapeutic. Alam niyo, parang kinakain niya yung dila niya. Okay? Parang ayaw nilang parinig. No? Be careful with that. No? So, we could not tell our patients na, ma'am, uminom po kayo niyan kasi si Lola gumaling yan. Okay? Yes, we may know that your Lola took it and then your Lola got well of it. But you could not recommend it to your patient because it's not evidence-based. So guys, at the end of learning the theories, you need to be reminded that you have your nursing knowledge as the basis of your action. Okay? So hindi pwedeng haka-haka lang. Now, let's talk about the ethical theories. So class, ethical theories and nursing. So class, ethics is proposed to be objective. Okay? And ethics class is expected to act based on objective facts while considering the patient's rights, values, and preferences. Okay? So we act based on the facts and then patient's rights, values, and preferences. Hindi pa pwede na rights lang palagi ng pasyente. Hindi pa pwede na values lang ng patient. Yes, the patient class is a priority, but they are not only the sole basis of our decision. Okay? Priority natin sila, priority natin na gagaling sila, pero hindi lang po sila ang basihan natin ng desisyon natin. What do I mean by that? Example, a patient will tell you, okay, COVID times, sasabihin ng pasyente, di ba, tatanungin mo, sir, nakatravel po ba tayo sa area kung saan merong COVID? Sasabihin niya, hindi. Okay? Hindi talaga. Hindi ako nakali. Paglabas ng x-ray, nakita mo, parang COVID talaga. Okay? Paglabas ng result, COVID talaga. You as a nurse would need to go back to the patient and ask again the question, sir, we need you to tell the truth because that will be able to set you free. Halimbawa, sabi, sir, we need to tell you the truth because it will be able to help us discern kung ano pong dapat natin gawin sa inyo. Nakikita po natin dito sa x-ray na parang COVID po. Sir, gusto ko lang tanungin ulit, nakapag-travel po ba tayo sa area kung saan mataas ang cases ng COVID-19? Okay? That way, class, I'm telling you, it's not always that you just take precedent for your patient. Okay? Dapat you should consider the facts that are available to us. Okay? Class, pag magkaganon, for example, if you caught your patient lying to you, do not tell them. Do not tell them, class, na, sir, yan mahirap sa inyo eh. Nagsisinungaling pa kayo. Okay? Yan kasi, sir, kung tinabi mo lang kanina, sana tapos na tayo. Okay? Huwag ganon, class, ha? Huwag usapang kalye. So you can tell your patient, sir, please, next time, please continue to telling us the truth now. Okay? Sir, we are here to help you. And the truth, sir, will be able to help us decide if what is the best care for you. Okay? Plus, bakit po naglalay yung pasyente natin? Huwag niyong sabihin na, ex ko yan, talagang liar naman yan mula noon eh. Iniwan ko nga yan kasi may mga ka-live-in partner eh. Huwag ganon, ha? Plus, you need to understand that your patient may be lying because also they fear the consequences. They fear the consequences. So class, in your ethical theories, it is reminded, yes, tama. No? I would like to capture this muna. They are scared also. They are scared. Okay? So wag niyong patulan. Now, nurses should be armed with scientific knowledge and knowledge of ethical theories to guide the ethicality of nursing actions. Okay? So this will be able to help us again to know what is right and wrong. Now, the first theory, you have your deontological theories. You have your deontological theories. Plus, your deontological theories tell us, okay, ganito muna, isipin natin that deon means duty. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, you have the duty to do good. You have the duty to do good. You have the duty to do good. Okay? Yan yung sinasabi ni deontology. Okay? Plus, another way to describe this is that the means justify the ends. Means, class, in Tagalog, pamamaraan. Okay? The way that you did it would justify the end. Okay? In other words, class, your focus is dito. Your focus is on your duty to do good. Kahit ano man ang mangyari sa huli, nabuhay man siya o namatay, basta I've done my part. I've done my duty. Yan po yung sinasabi ng mga deontologists. Okay? It is the mean that justifies the end. So it says that the motives and the actions morally right independent of their consequences. So class, yung motibo mo, yung action mo is the basis para masabi natin na morally right yung isang bagay. Kahit anuman ang magiging consequences noon. Okay? Kahit anuman ang magiging consequence noon, yung basihan po talaga is your duty. It's the means, it's the way that you've done. That's what the deontological theories are telling us. Okay? So means justifies the ends. Isulat niyo yan. Now, pag-usapan natin yung origin, galing po sa Greek na word na deon, meaning that which is binding that your duty. Okay? Halimbawa, sa example earlier kay Anna, You know that it is good that you should stay. It is your duty to stay with your patient. Huwag naman sana, no? Parang masama naman sabihin. Pero yung hard that deontologists would say, whatever happened to your mother, you have done your duty. So what you did is actually good. Whatever happened to your mother, you stayed with your duty. So it is good. Now, class, with those duties, the deontologist is telling us that there are ethical principles that needs to be applied irrespective of the outcome. There are ethical principles that needs to be applied respective of the outcomes, irrespective of the outcomes. Okay? So kung titingnan nyo, class, yung lahat na definition na sinasabi ko sa inyo on deontology, you can make it go back to the word duty. Kita nyo to, irrespective. Kahit ano pang mangyari sa huli, gawin mo kung anong tama. Okay? Yan yung sinasabi sa atin ng mga deontologists. Okay? Now, that being said, the class, they focus on the importance of motives and intentions, and upright behavior is one that is driven by duty, not by remuneration. Class, pag sinabi kong remuneration, parang mali dito. Remuneration to yata. Okay? While you're writing the word, I would like to check muna. Okay? Let me see. Ay, tama. Remuneration. Now, class, pag sinabi ko pong remuneration, this talks actually about money. This talks about financial gain. So, isang sinasabi sa atin ng deontology is that whether you will earn or not, kahit magkano man yung kita mo, basta ginawa mo yung kung anong tama, tama po yan. Yan ang sinasabi sa atin ng deontology. Hindi po dapat tayo driven by the money, kasi money, di ba, is outcome. Pag titingnan natin, deontology says that the means should be prioritized over the ends. So class, pag sinabi nating money, money is an end. Money is an outcome in these examples. So anong sinasabi? Kahit magkita ka pa, kahit makakita ka ng pera or not, do it because it's what is good. It is your duty to do it. Okay, that's your deontology. Now, so class, wag niyo nang sulatin to, basahin niyo lang. Look at it. It says that some choices cannot be justified by their effects. So again, it goes back to duty. It goes back to means. Kasi sabi niya, wala tayong pakialam sa ends, wala tayong pakialam sa effects. Ang importante lang lamang is kung paano natin siya ginawa. Ang importante lamang is kung paano siya natin ginawa. Okay? So that's the emphasis of your deontology. You don't mind the ends, you don't mind the effects. Your focus is your choices here. No matter how morally good the consequences, some choices are morally forbidden. Okay? Tingnan nyo to, No matter how morally good the consequences, there are choices that are morally forbidden. Example, abortion. Okay? Class, may mga cases, for example, sa mga first world countries, nagpapa-abort. Bakit? Nung itest ang fetus, nalaman na itong fetus na to, merong severe illness, merong severe problem, na hanggang tatanda siya, class, no? Hanggang tatanda siya, mag-i-exist. So yung ibang parents nag-o-opt, ipa-abort na natin yan. Okay? Mahihirapan lang yan kapag mabuhay yan dito sa world. Okay? But class, the deontologist is telling us, okay, especially here in the Philippine setting, abortion, di ba, is that morally accepted. So kahit anong gawin natin, kahit gaano pa kabuti yung iniisip natin, sabihin, abortion, it's women's rights advocacy. If I would look at the view of a deontologist, anong sinasabi ng deontologist? Kahit ano pang women's rights, kahit ano pang kabutihan sa buhay ng bata, hindi pwede ang abortion dito. Kahit ano pa yung outcomes, hindi pwedeng abortion dito. Okay? Because that's what the country believes to be morally right. Okay? Class, by the way, the father of deontology is Immanuel Kant. Kindly make a good note of that. That Immanuel Kant is the father of deontology. Now, your deontology also believes on categorical imperatives. Sulat po natin yung term categorical imperatives. That would mean non-conditional principles. Okay? Non-conditional principles. Dapat po nating i-follow itong mga principles regardless of circumstances. Yan po sinasabi ni Deontology. So class, pag titingnan po yung mga writings ng deontologist, may nakasulat po talaga na categorical imperatives. In other words, itong mga bagay na to, dapat talaga nating i-follow according to them. Okay? Hindi po ito pwedeng i-negotiate. Hindi po ito pwedeng may pa-exempt. Wala pong exception dyan. Yan ang sinasabi ng deontologist. Now, ethical principles daw are considered to be valid regardless of the context and consequences of the decisions. Halimbawa, pag sinabing principle of beneficence, pag sinabi ko class na principle of beneficence, that would mean do good. Pag sinabi ko class na beneficence, that would mean again, do good. So ano sabi ng deontologist? No? Valid po itong ating ginagawa regardless of the context and the consequences of the decisions. Kahit ano man po ang mangyayari sa pasyente, basta we do good from start to end, we are good. We are ethical. Then plus, the moral value of an action depends on the underlying moral rule. And our actions should be grounded to the moral rule. Plus, wag nyo nang i-memorize, bumabalik po siya sa word na duty. Bumabalik siya sa word na duty. Again, I would repeat, anong sabi ng deontology? Nurse, may duty ka, itong tama mong gawin. Kahit anumang mangyari sa huli, gawin mo to because ito yung tama. Okay? That's again the emphasis of your deontology. Now, there are different ethical theories under your deontology. One, you have your negative and positive right. Okay, you have your negative and positive rights theory. Ano pong sinasabi ng negative and positive rights theory? Class, sabi po ng negative and positive rights theory, an action is right if it protects the individual from harm or unwanted interference. Okay? And then look at the second bullet. The action is considered right if it provides the individual anything he needs to exist. Okay? So earlier, no? Kung titingnan mo yung action natin earlier, pag bibigyan ko po siya ng money na 500, baka po pwede po siyang makonsider from the deontological aspect because you're giving the person the capability to buy the medicine which is actually needed for his healthcare. Okay? Or halimbawa, pag bibigay po ako ng food outside, it's good because I'm helping somebody survive. I'm helping somebody survive. Okay? So tandaan if the action is right, if it provides an individual with existing or with anything that he needs to exist. Now, ano pong common example nito? No? Yung sinasabi pong natin right to adequate healthcare. Okay, we can equate this one to our right to adequate healthcare. Okay? Bakit? Right natin yun Diba? Kailangan natin yun para mabuhay na dapat may adequate healthcare plan. Okay, so that justifies the action according to the negative and positive rights theory. Okay, kindly take note of that. Now, another thing, meron tayong tinatawag na social contract theories. Okay, social contract theories. Huwag niyong i-copy lahat, makinig muna. So class, the important words there that you can write is people contract with each other. Sulat niyo, people contract with each other. Okay, kontrata. Ibig sabihin, ako, si Armil, may kontrata. Ako at si Kiano, may kontrata. Ano pong kontrata namin? That you will try to learn from my class, you study my lessons, but then I will give you something for you also to remember. Hindi pa pwede na sabihin ko, mag-aral kayo dyan, bahala kayo sa buhay nyo. No, may kontrata tayo. We have a social contract that I need to comply on. Now, class, this is based on the notion na kapag walang kontrata, kapag wala po tayong order, pag wala po tayong law in the society, the people will have unlimited freedom. Okay? So sulat nyo lang dyan. Under sa social contract theory, you write the word unlimited freedoms. and then you cross it out. That will give you an idea na ang purpose po ng social contract theory is to limit our freedom. Class, bakit? Ano bang mangyayari pag unlimited yung freedom? Have you watched the movie Purge? Have you watched the movie Purge ba, guys? Are you familiar with the movie Purge? Alam nyo nangyayari na there's a specific time of the day wherein people would just be able to do what they want even if they would kill somebody, di ba? Parang pwedeng magpatayan, no? Tapos parang yung motto doon is survival of the fittest. Okay? Parang yung motto nilang sinusunod is survival of the fittest. Okay? Now, class, the social contract theory is trying to avoid that situation like of your purge. Okay? What does it tell us, no? Hindi pwede na unlimited lang yung freedom natin. Okay, we need to give up some of our freedoms and accept the obligation to respect. In other words, class, yung sinasabi natin, in every right, there is a responsibility. In every right, class, there is a responsibility. Okay? Ito kadalasan yung nire-remind natin sa mga pasyente natin. Okay? Ito kadalasan yung nire-remind natin sa pasyente. So, anong sinasabi natin, class, sa patient? Okay? Sir, you have the right to do this, but then these are your responsibilities. Okay? These are your responsibilities. Guys, tuloy tayo. So, the main emphasis of your social contract theories is that you make a contract with the society. Okay, that's the keyword there. No? If you would look at the word of the theory itself, you are making a contract with the people themselves. So, basically, the purpose of that is to put limit to our rights so that hindi po sa unlimited and then so that may mga responsibilities po tayong nagagawa. Kasi pag unlimited yung rights natin, sabi ng textbook nga examples, there may be too much hatred. There may be stealing money. There may be stealing of property because of one's needs. Or halimbawa, for example, ako, gutom na gutom. Tapos pupunta ako kay Romel. Kukunin ko lang yung pagkain ni Romel nang walang paalam. Kasi right ko yun, di ba? Kasi gutom ako, right to food. So hindi pa pwede. So yan yung sinasabi ng social contract theory na. Now, the next theory is your social justice theory. Plus, under your social justice theory, may tatlong dimensions. Isulat po natin yung tatlong dimensions. So you have your distributive dimension, you have your retributive dimension, and then the other one is your compensatory dimension. So anong sinasabi ng social justice theory? Plus, dapat itong tatlong dimension should be present for us to know that something is fair. Okay, something is fair. Now, if you would look at plus the word justice, dapat pwede mo na siyang equate doon kay fairness. Diba? Justice and fairness are two words that we equate. No? So, anong sinasabi ng distributive dimension? Plus, sabi niya, perceived fairness, there is perceived fairness in the distribution of social benefits and burden among the group members. Now, tingnan niyo yung word na distribute. Tapos plus, i-highlight niyo lang yung word na fairness in distribution. Okay? Yan po yung punto ng distributive dimension. There is fairness in distribution. Okay? That's the word that we want there. Now, another thing is retributive dimension. Plus, pag retributive naman, yung pinag-iisipan natin dito is punishment. So, ibig sabihin, pag may punishment tayo, dapat proportionate din siya sa extent ng crime. Plus, if you would look at our justice system right now, it's actually having the retributive dimension. For example, if you will kill somebody and then it is your human act, conscious ka, reclusion perpetua po yun. Pag sinabi kong reclusion perpetua, yung punishment mo, lifetime imprisonment. Okay? Lifetime imprisonment. Halimbawa, kapag nagnakaw ako ng konting amount, so plus pwede po siya na imprisonment for 6 months, imprisonment for 3 years. So kung titingnan po natin, proportionate din po siya sa extent ng crime na ginagawa natin. Now, another thing is compensatory dimension. Your compensatory dimension tells you that the way people are compensated should be in relation to the injuries inflicted upon them. Okay, so again, people should be compensated based on the injuries that are inflicted among them. Now, allow me to talk of the concept of damages when it comes to your compensatory dimension. So class, when I talk about compensatory dimension, okay, sabi dito, di ba, relation to the injuries. that are happening to certain individual. If you would look at legal nursing, dear students, you will be learning about what we call damages. Okay? So class, pag sinabi nating damages, na post sa social media, sinabi nyo itong teacher Porke walang tilde. Itong teacher Porke hindi marunong mag-discuss ng topic niya. Itong teacher Porke pagkapangit na uri ng nurse. Itong teacher Porke matabang nurse. Okay? Parang mga ganon halimbawa yung sinasabi. In a while, am I coming in clear? Students, am I coming in clear?
Yes po, medyo lag po kanina.
Okay. I'll talk about damages. Halimbawa, no, yun yung ginawa nyo sa akin. Minura nyo ako sa social media or minura nyo ako sa Facebook. Sinabi nyo hindi ako marunong magturo. Sinabi nyo na wala akong silbing professor. Sinabi nyo na pangkapangit kong uring nurse. Tapos dinagdagan nyo pa. Pagkataba-tabang nurse yan. No? For example lang ha. Class, I can sue you damages. No? And when I talk about damages, students, there are different type of damages. So there are, for example, you have your moral damages. Okay? Now, anong ibig sabihin ng moral damages? Halimbawa, class, ginawa nyo yun sa social media ko. I will lose my job. Tapos hindi naman pala totoo yung pinagsasabi ninyo. So class, I can sue you. I can tell you that the amount of job that I lost for this month is, let's say, for example, 500,000. Bayaran nyo ako ng 500,000 kasi wala kayong basis sa ginawa nyo sa akin. Halimbawa, pagkatapos, paglabas ng campus, kasi sobrang galit nyo talaga sa akin. Meron pang sumuntok sa akin, halimbawa. Plus, I could have physical damages. So, pag sinabi kong physical damages, sinuntok nyo ako. Lahat that I will be spending in the hospital can be charged to you. Again, everything that I will be spending, okay, everything that I will be spending plus for you, for my medical expenses, okay, will be charged to you. Okay, it will be charged to you. Okay, so those are examples plus of damages. So for your compensatory damages, it says here, or dimension, I mean, you should be compensated based on the relation to the injuries inflicted upon them. Okay, so kung titingnan niyo po yung injuries, bakit po kayo binigyan ng konting idea on the damages? To remind you that the injury is not only what you can see. Hindi lang po lahat na nakikita niyo. Okay, is the injury. So class, meron pong moral damages. Okay? I'm not very particular of the specific case, but there was a case one time, for example, that due to a medical error, class, nasira yung pagmumukha ng anak niya. You know what? The moral damages was very expensive. The moral damages was very expensive. Parang yung ano nga guys, yung parang yung defense nila is that naging Miss Philippines pa daw sana yung anak niya kung hindi po dahil dun sa medical error. And because of that daw, her child lost a lot of opportunities in life. Okay? So ano pong ibig kong sabihin sa ating end bilang nurses? Mag-ingat po kayo. Mag-ingat po kayo because damages is a very serious thing. That's why in the US, in the US, may tinatawag po silang legal insurance. Ibig sabihin, plus pag may magkasakit, pag may kaso, yung nurse at saka doctor, there will be a malpractice insurance. The term pala is malpractice insurance, so that they will be saved from the expenses related to the legal proceedings. Okay? So that's it for your deontological theory. In other words, guys, when I say deontological, ano nga ba yung focus natin sa deontological? Pwede nyo bang ma-chat sa akin? What is our word of focus in deontological? Duty. Okay? Ano po yung uunahin ko? Is it the motive or the outcome? Based on deontology, anong uunahin ko? Is it the motive or the outcomes? Very good. So it all goes back to motive. It all goes back to motive. Students, the opposite is your teleological ethics. Okay? Teleology. Teleology. Okay? So anong sabi ng teleological ethics? Class, sabi po niya, the rightness and wrongness would depend on the consequence. Okay? Tingnan nyo, the rightness and the wrongness would depend on the consequence. So kanina baliktad, di ba? Sabi natin, the rightness and wrongness would depend on the ways. But this time, class, ano pang isang sinasabi natin under teleological ethics? The ends justify the means. Okay? Kanina, baliktad sabi ko sa inyo, di ba? Sabi ko kanina sa deontology, the means justifies the end. Dito class sa teleology, the end justify the means. Okay? The end justify the means. I don't know, are you watching Grey's Anatomy? Are there students here who are watching Grey's Anatomy? May nanonood ng ganon? Manood kayo, required yun sa atin. Sana ganon na lang yung klase. Manood kayo ng Grey's Anatomy tapos reaction paper kunwari. Okay? Class, if you can recall, no, if nanood kayo ng Grey's Anatomy, may mga instances doon, class, di ba, that the doctors are doing things that are against their hospital policy. The doctors there are actually doing things na, halimbawa, gusto nilang operahan yung isang bata. Kahit walang permit or walang permission ng mother, ginagawa nila. Tapos hinaharapan nila ng paraan. Kaya hinaharapan nila ng paraan para hindi sila legally liable. No? Now, if you can see, what their act is actually based on teleological ethics. No? Na kahit ano pang mangyari, basta itong buhay ng batang to will be able to live well, this child will be able to live happily. Let's do the surgery. Parang ganun yun, class. Ha? Parang ganun yung exaggerated example niya. So kahit ano pang mangyari, okay? Parang somehow sinasabi niya na kahit masama pa yung gawin mo, basta yung outcome magiging mabuti. Let's do it. Okay, you can do it. That's what your teleological ethicist would be telling you. Now, it came from these words, no? Teleios, which means entire, perfect, or complete. And then telos, which would mean end, the limit, the goal, the result, the fulfillment, or the completion. And then you have the word logia, okay, for your logy. So class, it means speaking, discourse, treatise, doctrine, theory, or science. So basically, it's the science of ends. It's the science of fulfillment. It's the science of goal. It's the science of completion. Okay? So, yan po yung teleology. Okay? So, try nyo munang i-copy words. So, it means, class, that it's a doctrine of ends, it's a doctrine of limits, it's a doctrine of goals. Okay? So, yan po yung mga examples natin yan. Or mga original words na yan. Now, look at the definition. It says that teleological ethics is an assumption that a decision is judged in terms of the outcomes. Huwag nyo nang kopyahin yung buong sentence. Okay? Plus, the best way is just for you to write outcomes. Okay? Just for you to write outcomes. Then, the action in itself cannot be good or bad, but the outcome or the impact of the action upon people involved are judged as either negative or positive. Okay? So, kung titingnan, outcomes pa rin po yung basihan natin kung ano yung magiging good at ano po yung magiging bad. Now, there are different types of theories under your teleological theories. One, you have your ethical egoism. Okay? Plus, tingnan yung word ego. Ha? Ego. That's the one of the keyword here. Now, sabi dito is that an action is good if it produces results that maximize the person's self-interest, which the person himself defines even at the expense of others. So this is based on the notion, class, that it is always right to promote one's own good. Okay? Ethical egoism. Ha? Class, bakit po siyang tinawag na ego? Di ba pag sinabi nating ego, parang yung priority mo is self? Di ba? If you're learning the theory of personality, pag sinasabing, uy, egoistic ang taong yan, anong inuuna? Sarili niya. So according to ethical egoism, okay lang daw, kahit ano pang mangyari, kasi self-interest mo yan. Okay? It says that the person's self-interest is the one that's important. And then it is always right daw to promote one's own good. Yan yung sinasabi ng ethical egoism. So if you would apply it to teleology, parang sinasabi na kahit anong mangyari, basta at the end maging okay yung buhay ko. Kasi this is about me. At the end, magiging okay yung situation ko. That's ethical egoism. Now, another, utilitarianism. This is a very common concept. Utilitarianism. Plus, maybe you can write on the side, total. Okay? Pag sinabi kong utilitarianism, you can write on the side, total. Anong ibig kong sabihin ng total? Guys, an act is good if it benefits a greater number of people. Okay? So when I say utilitarianism, it's the good for the greater number of people. It's the good for the greater number of people. Okay? Now, anong ibig sabihin yan, no? Ibig sabihin, if I will be doing something, I can say na, uy, pwede to kasi marami makaka-benefit nito. Okay? Dapat ako mag-lecture na yan kasi marami makaka-benefit ng mga students. Or pwede kong sabihin, the very good example of this is during the incidents of war. During the incidents of war. Halimbawa, guys, no? Okay, may gyerang naganap. Tapos maraming casualty. Palagay nyo, sinong uunahin natin? Yung mga nakakalakad or yung severely wounded? Applying the principle of utilitarianism, who would I deal first? Is it somebody? Is it the people who can walk? Or is it those people who are severely wounded? Palagay nyo. Sige, I would want to see the chats. Okay? Class, uunahin po natin those who are able to walk, those who are able to ambulate. Okay? Sila po ang uunahin natin. Bakit? Okay? Greater good for the greater number of people. Pag uunahin ko yung mga taong hindi na makalakad, pag uunahin ko yung mga taong severely wounded na, the tendency is that I will not be able to save a lot of people. Okay? Konti lang yung masisave ko, class. No? And then if I will be dedicating my resources to them, halimbawa may mga swero ako, no? Tapos yung bibigyan ko, class, yung mga severely wounded o yung mga almost mamamatay na. Class, sinayang ko yung resources ko to somebody whose prognosis is very poor. Okay? So sana, pag binigay ko yon sa 10 katao, natulungan ko pa sana itong 10 tao. Pag sinabihan ko sila, plus pag sinabi kong unahin yung mga naglalakad, alam niyo nung ginagawa natin, nag-a-announce ka lang naman eh. Oh, sino yung nakakalakad dyan? Lakad na po. Dito po tayo papunta. Bilis na po. Yung may mga konting sugat sa mga nakakalakad, tulungan yung may mga konting sugat. Tulungan nyo sila. Papunta dito, papunta dito. Okay? So class, pinapabayaan muna yung mga severely wounded. And once that a lot of people are already saved, that will be the time that you attend to the severely wounded. Okay? That's the principle of utilitarianism. Next one, class, you have what you call your eudaimonism. Okay? Eudaimonism. This is pronounced eudaimonism. Actually, it's good if it results in the fulfillment of goals along with the welfare of human beings. Okay? So tingnan, goals pa rin. Pero class, nagdagdag lang ng welfare of human beings. And then class, an action is said to be fruitful pag nag-promote siya ng fulfillment of human nature and its happiness. Okay? Halimbawa, uy, napahappy ko siya. Okay, that's good. Okay? Whatever happened, natulungan ko siya. Okay, it's good. She's happy. That's the purpose. That's the point of your eudaimonism. Okay? By the way, going back a little on your utilitarianism, so class, two famous utilitarianists are Bentham and then Mill. Now, Bentham actually started it in 18th century, and then Mill started it in the 19th century. Okay? Now, class, si Mill po pala yung gumawa talaga ng term na utilitarianism. But then Bentham was able to introduce it in the 18th century. So tulad ng sabi ko, greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. Now, according to the utilitarianist, okay, happiness daw or the good daw could be based on calculations. The quality of happiness can be measured in the following. Okay? Tingnan niyo yung components ng happiness, tinatawag nila. Or good na sinasabi nila. Intensity, ibig sabihin, malaki, I'm very happy. Duration, pag matagal ako magiging happy, the act is more good. Okay? Certainty, if sure na magiging happy ako, tuloy. Okay? If sure na magiging happy ako, let's do it. Volume, that's the number of involved individuals. Mas maraming happy, tuloy natin. Time, whether happiness or suffering will happen now or in the future. Pag mangyayari siya now, better. Pag mangyayari siya sa future, sana tatagal. Future consequences, whether the particular activity will bring benefit also in the future. Okay? So will it bring benefit to the future? And then purity. Pag sinabi kong purity, the question there is that, is it purely good? Or my consequences siya nga ba? Okay? Is it purely good? Or my consequences siya nga ba? So class, if the act is purely good, tuloy natin, gawin natin. Okay? That's good happiness. But if merong consequences, bababa po yung happiness index ng isang act. Okay? But then the thing is that when you are in nursing, when you are in the healthcare profession, guys, hindi po pa pwede na purely good lahat eh. Kahit gamot nga po natin, no? Kahit gamot po natin, may mga gamot po tayo na may mga side effects. May mga gamot po tayong may adverse effects. So hindi po pwede na purely good lahat. There are always consequences to our actions. But then class, please be reminded, according to utilitarianism, these are the things that are included for us to say that there's happiness. Okay? So students, kindly closely review these theories. Okay, do you have any questions so far? Okay, did you learn naman something during our discussion for today?